All right, we're gonna have fun with this one, people. We're gonna have some fun with this one, but before we get into the scoring and what went down in the ring, let's first of all acknowledge that this was a great fight between two warriors, two unbelievably tough and talented competitors. Okay, let's first acknowledge that. This fight was much better than the first fight, much more action, much more drama, and hats off to both of them for the effort that they put in. I'm going to say this, both guys raised their game in this fight. Yeah, they both raised their game. Not only was Canelo much better, Golovkin was much better. So hats off to them for that. And people had wondered, I'd wondered what Canelo would be like without the tainted beef, let's just say. Canelo was actually better without the tainted beef. His body did look smaller, even in the ring. His body looked much smaller than the first fight, but he boxed better. Now we got that out of the way. Let's get into what actually happened. Well, Roy Jones Jr., let me just adjust my headset here a second. Roy Jones Jr. spoke about this post-fight, that the fight was a role reversal, because in the first fight, it was Golovkin on the front foot, Canelo boxing on the back foot, counter-punching. Abel Sanchez and Golovkin not only heavily criticized Canelo for fighting that way, they trolled him for fighting that way in the first fight. They literally trolled the guy. So Canelo came out in the second fight and he turned the tables. It was him pushing Golovkin back. It was him the aggressor. It was Golovkin on the back foot, as Abel Sanchez would say, running. Which was interesting, wasn't it? Now, in the first fight, Canelo did come forward in spots and push Golovkin back, and he actually had a lot of success when he did that in the first fight. And if you watch if you remember my post-fight review for the first fight, it's still up on my channel, I was saying that Canelo should have sustained that. He should have pushed Golovkin back more, because I think that's the way to beat Golovkin. And that's exactly what he did here in this second fight. I was scoring it round by round, but my stream cut out. I was watching it was a HD stream, but you know, it is what it is. It cut out midway through the fifth, so I missed a lot of the fifth and the sixth. It was still choppy, and it only really came back properly maybe early in the eighth round. So I was watching bits and pieces of the fight through the fifth, sixth, and seventh, but those rounds were a bit shaky for me, which is why I can't give you my scorecard. But what I can say is, through the first four rounds, I scored the first even, the second, third, and fourth to Canelo. So I had Canelo in a lead going into the fifth. And I'll have to watch the fight again to see the middle rounds, the fifth, sixth, and seventh. But the late rounds, they were going back and forth. You know, some of them you could give to Canelo. He was still pushing the issue. He was hurting Golovkin with body shots. He was landing beautiful counters. I think it was the ninth or the 10th where Golovkin seemed to rock Canelo briefly. It was just an incredible fight through the championship rounds. You know, all the late rounds were just seesaw action. Both guys landing tremendous shots. Canelo predominantly on the front foot, but Golovkin doing a good job of boxing on the back foot. His jab was consistent and he was landing it nicely throughout the fight. And Golovkin really raised his game in the championship rounds, because there was a point there around maybe the 8th, 9th round where Golovkin was looking like he was really, really struggling, because Canelo kept on hitting him in the body again and again and again and again. And Golovkin was starting to look like an old man in there. He was starting to feel the pace and feel them body shots in his ribs. But Golovkin, like a warrior, dug down deep and he pulled out a tremendous rally in the last few rounds of the fight, which he certainly, I'm sure, believed were enough for him to win. But it wasn't to be. And it ended up going 12 rounds. They slugged it out in the 12th. And Canelo Alvarez got the win by majority decision. It doesn't yet say it here on BoxRec, does it? Oh yeah, it is, yeah. So Canelo won a majority decision. 2 points on two of the judges' cards. And the other judge, Glenn Feldman, had it 114-114. Now, obviously, there are a lot of Golovkin fans who are very upset by this, just as they were in the first fight. I did a poll pre-fight asking people's predictions, and 70% of people picked Golovkin. That's right. There was at least 2,000-3,000 people who voted on the poll on my channel. 70% picked Golovkin to win. 27% picked Canelo, and 3% picked a draw. So the overwhelming majority of you guys picked Golovkin to win. I eventually picked Golovkin to win. I posted on the community tab on my channel page. You can go see it there. I picked Golovkin to win on points, which, you know, I guess people would say is a very naive pick because you can't beat Canelo on points in Vegas. That's what people are going to say. And yeah, I guess, look, I was picking Golovkin on points as a way of saying if there is fair officiating this time, which again, people are going to say, how could you expect fair officiating? Well, I'm not going to make a judgment on how the fight was scored until I watch it again and score it again, because as I say, I did miss the middle rounds because it was a bit choppy on my stream. So I'm going to watch it again and then give you guys my score. But it was a nip and tuck fight. This is what I'll tell you. It's a nip and tuck fight. I can't argue with Canelo winning. But what I will say is, it is a bit off that not even one of the judges had Golovkin winning. You know, to me, that's a little off. There was no outrageous scores, because 115, 113 for Canelo, that's not an outrageous score. But for two of them to have it Canelo and the other one to only have it a draw, not even 1 point for Golovkin, you know, winning, that maybe is a little off. But again, I want to watch the fight again and see. But having seen it live first time around, I'm not going to take issue with Canelo getting the decision. Okay, watching it first time around, I'm not going to take issue with that. I thought it was a close enough fight, plenty of close rounds. I'm not going to take issue with it. My main feeling after watching that was that it was a great fight and I was thoroughly entertained by what I saw. So once again, hats off to both guys, a tremendous bout. But let me know what you guys think. Was this a robbery? Do they need to do it again? Because Canelo said we can do it again in the post-fight interview. Golovkin apparently left the ring without even being interviewed, so he was mad. But yeah, Canelo, he stayed, he did the interview, he said we can do it again, we can have a trilogy. Perhaps they will, but then again, maybe Golovkin's got too much of a bitter taste in his mouth, you know. But Canelo definitely answered a lot of questions in this fight because, again, people didn't know what he would be like without the tainted beef. And there were also questions about his knees that he's had trouble with. There were questions about his hands that I'd asked because he's wearing these winning gloves. Although, I'm not sure if the gloves he was wearing were winning tonight. He was supposedly going to wear winning gloves, but the ones he was wearing had these Canelo logos on. So I don't know what brand they actually were. Whether they were the No Boxing, No Life gloves or the winning gloves or Everlast. I don't know because they had Canelo's logo on. And they didn't have a brand on that I saw. So anyway, there were questions about his hands, all kinds of questions surrounding Canelo. And Canelo answered the questions. He was better without the tainted beef. He was better coming forward than he was on the back foot in the last fight. And he's got a chin. He can take Golovkin's power. I mean, we always knew he had a chin, but he had enough of a chin to be able to stand toe-to-toe with Golovkin and fight him. That's what we know now, you know. And Golovkin knows that too. Golovkin knows that anytime he steps in the ring with Canelo, it's going to be tough for him, very tough for him. He's never going to have an easy night's work with this guy. So anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Did Canelo do enough to win? I'm sure some of you will say he did. Then again, a lot of you, I've already looked on my Facebook group and loads of people are screaming robbery. Loads of the Golovkin fans are incensed. They're really upset. It is what it is. And before I go, just a quick word on, because I got this prediction wrong. I picked Golovkin to win the fight on points. Got that wrong, obviously. And I also got my other prediction wrong. Now, the Golovkin one, I can forgive myself because that was a close fight. You know, that could have gone either way. But the one I can't forgive myself for was picking Spike O'Sullivan to beat David Lemieux. I've been on YouTube since 2010 and I've got a pretty good prediction record. But that prediction right there, picking Spike O'Sullivan to beat David Lemieux, that has got to be the worst prediction I've ever made. That was it. I'll hold my hands up. That was a shocking prediction. I've never really rated David Lemieux very highly, and I don't really rate Spike O'Sullivan that highly. And given the fact that Lemieux was coming off a loss, and both guys had already lost to Billy Joe Saunders. In fact, Spike O'Sullivan did a little bit better against Billy Joe than David Lemieux did, even though Lemieux was in better shape against, Saunders was in better shape against Lemieux than he was against O'Sullivan. But still, taking all the factors into account, I felt like if Spike O'Sullivan could survive the early onslaught, the inevitable early onslaught from Lemieux, he might have a good chance down the stretch to, put pressure on and take Lemieux out. But nothing of the sort was to happen, because literally from the opening bell, Lemieux jumped on O'Sullivan, and the second O'Sullivan felt Lemieux's power from the shots that were hitting him on the body, in the chest, and on the arms, O'Sullivan was intimidated. And I could tell within 10 seconds that O'Sullivan was not going to win the fight. His body language said it all. Lemieux had already shocked him and intimidated him within the first few seconds of the fight. And one big left hook landed. Was it a left hook or a right hand? I think it was a left hook, wasn't it? Which is Lemieux's best shot. Down went Spike O'Sullivan. He'd never been down before, but boy, did he go down hard this time. He didn't know where he was. One punch knockout. So yeah, terrible prediction by me. I hold my hands up for that one. The worst prediction I've ever made in 8 years being on YouTube. Without a shadow of a doubt. But yeah, it is what it is. We all get them wrong sometimes. David Lemieux, I'll do maybe a separate video about the Spike O'Sullivan fight. But as for now, let's talk about Canelo versus Golovkin. What did you guys think about the result? What did you guys think about the scoring? How did you guys score it? How many of you thought Golovkin won? How many of you thought Canelo won? How many of you thought a draw would have been appropriate this time, more appropriate than last time? And how many of you guys want to see the rubber match, the third fight, make it a trilogy? Let me know what you feel in the comment section below, people. It's happening. I'm out.
Join me on Patreon. I upload a minimum of 2 podcasts every single week, covering a wide variety of controversial topics, as well as live stream Q&A sessions. Take a look on screen right now at some of the podcasts I've produced so far. For just $3 a month, the equivalent of about £2 a month, you get access to all my new podcasts and my entire back catalogue of past podcasts, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet by downloading the Patreon app from the Google Play Store or the App Store for free. The Patreon app also allows you to download each podcast in MP3. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to dozens of hours of exclusive content. It's easy to sign up, there's no contract, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.